because his whole thing was the producers never paid for clearance. I'm not paying for no clearance with a collaborator. Are you out of your mind? What's going down? It's the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast, powered by BeatStars, BeatStars.world. We're live on BeatStars every single Monday and Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. These are free music business mentorship sessions. They're interactive. You can tune in, you can talk, interact with the guests, interact with us as the host. It's free. Again, I don't know why you wouldn't participate. My name is DJ Payne 1. I'm joined by a super duper celebrity guest. Dame, are you going to boycott Vlad? I know you did a Vlad TV interview way back.
I mean, I understand, the platform and how he's gotten to where he is. I definitely don't agree with a lot of his tactics. And I don't know all of the details of what's recently happened with, I guess, him putting up some information that was wrong about Minister Farrakhan. And him receiving a lot of backlash for it. I might have to better understand exactly what went down, but it's about him not apologizing or something like that. So I don't have all the information yet, but just in general, I like a lot of Vlad's interviews. My personal opinion is that he's interjected himself a lot more into his interviews over the years, like his perspectives, his opinions, and it's like, that probably was like, dude, I didn't want to hear that stuff. I like some of the guests that he brings on because he'll bring on guests that other people won't necessarily bring on. Like they're not the hottest of the hot, but they have like interesting perspectives and interesting stories. So I think that's one of the reasons, and his consistency in the amount of interviews he does. But I don't even like some of the ways he's twisted some of our headlines in the past. So, I know he's more about money, more about clicks. I don't really think he cares for the culture too much. I don't really think he cares for people too much. It's really about a bottom line for him. And it's unfortunate because he went to Cal too. Not that everybody from Cal is a good person, but
no, he's like he's the 1% of the people who went to Cal who aren't just amazing. Right. I don't know. I think overall we've touched on it, or maybe I've just ranted about it. I think there's this really strange space on the internet of let me just not talk about it, because the last time I talked about my opinions on whiteness and hip hop, there was some guy got like 30 troll accounts and just went in about how horrible we were, and oh my god,
talk your shit, Payne. This is your platform, man. You like what you want here.
I'm just gonna go on a rant. I mean, I get
me in trouble.
I think it's telling that the Vlad interview that you did was because you had so-called beef with Hopsin, right? It was like, look at what Dame's doing. Look at what he's doing as an independent hip hop label co-owner. Look at what these two people of color, these two black men are doing with this platform. It's amazing. He didn't interview you then, right?
Right.
No, he interviewed you when there was a public beef. And then when I go on the internet and I see all these, channels that speak on the culture, the vast majority of them just seem like people who are outside of the culture, have absolutely no allegiance to the culture, speaking on only the negative parts and then framing that as a culture. Like what is culture? To them, let them frame it. It's violence between people of color all the time. So when you log in, it's like, oh, T Grizzly, let's talk about his laptop theft ring. Like, no, talk about all the cool, amazing, positive things he's doing.
It's definitely just drama. So that's what I don't really like about it. But I think his strategy has been, let me get real close to a few black people that will then co-sign me, to kind of do the stuff that I do. And because I think at times he kind of pushes us back and shits on people and just tries to expose things. But I think recently, a lot of the people that got close to him or that he was depending on for cosigns, they've distanced themselves because of this recent issue. So I seen Godfrey and Lord Jamar, my son, a lot of the people that I think he kind of depended on as like his black friends are now distancing themselves. So, you know, his platform will probably still continue to do well. But I think that strategy of having a few black friends is, you know, it's not working right now. When I don't think he understood, you know, the power of or the influence that Minister Farrakhan has. So I got to get more details on exactly what was posted, why he didn't apologize, and I probably won't care to do that. So that's probably all I have to say about this.
Yeah, I think the whole NOI thing was just kind of the tipping point, or maybe the straw that broke the camel's back, where it was just one thing too many.
Yeah. The last, just in terms of my personal experience, like the last thing I'll say, because I tried to reach back out to him, because one of the things that Ja doesn't have, I mean, Ja has a shitload of followers. So Big Ja, the comedian I manage, he has a shitload of followers. He's gained like 250,000 followers just in the past couple of weeks on Facebook. So he's got, you know, a huge base. What he doesn't have is he's not verified on Instagram. He's verified on Facebook and YouTube. But like one of the things that gets you verified on Instagram is having press, right? So having press articles and things. And that's something that we've never focused on, something that we've never cared about. So I was just like, okay, let me just see if we can get him a couple interviews and see if we can knock this out, get him verified. Let's keep it moving. So Vlad was one of the cats that I reached out to, try to use like our former, you know, our past. And yeah, I you know, had somewhat of a relationship with him. All of my art, all of the artists that I used to work with were on the platform. I did an interview, Cal Connection, yada, yada. I thought maybe, okay, he sees how Ja's moving. Of course, you know, it would benefit him to be on the platform, hopefully mutually beneficial. And got the big rejection, you know, talking about comedians don't do well on the platform. And I'm like,
Wait,
okay,
what? Wait.
exactly. So we got DLs on there every other day. Godfrey's on there every other day.
Was Godfrey
Linnell,
was on there?
yeah, Linnell was like, she was actually interviewing people on his show. So, you know, Ja went to Cal too, so I thought, you know, I don't think he gives a shit about the Cal connection. I don't think he gives a shit about anything but money and views. And for that reason, I definitely will never be following up with him. And I'm just not a fan of how he moves. Like I just respect integrity way more than that. Like I'm not the kind of cat that's going to do anything for likes or views.
Yeah, we know. I mean, neither am I. That's why we get so few likes and views all the time.
Now we got a core though, and I think we can do better. We talked about this
Yeah.
earlier in the week. Like we're definitely gonna do better at promoting the podcast. The people that rock with the pod, it's a steady. You know what I'm saying? The people that rock with us, it's a steady core. You know, dope group. So
And
shout
we
out to
appreciate all of you.
yeah, for sure. That stick with us and just hear us rant every single week. On a separate note, I got the shirt I'm wearing today is my guy Michael Finn. I think you pronounce it Finn, right? A lot of times you develop these relationships online and you never talk to each other, so you never know exactly how you say each other's name. So I think it's Michael Finn. He's from Denmark. He's a rapper, but he also wrestles too. So it's a kind of a unique part of his story. Just in general, like when you're doing merch, you typically, like from what I've seen, like the shirts that have your face on them don't do as well as like a saying, a tagline, or you know, a cool design, or you know, they typically don't do as well. But obviously, this has his face on it. Hopefully, for his fans, it resonates. But that's just a little tip when it comes to merch.
Yeah, I
You
think
know,
Big Jaw is a great example of really branding with the person's identity in mind, but without making it blatant.
Yeah, we don't have any shirts, and his merch has been moving like crazy during this year, which is interesting. I think I've heard that from most people that sell merch. Like, they've had some really impressive merch months, and that's been the case for us. But we don't have any shirts with his face on it, and nor does he want anything with his face on it. So I'm sure that it works for some people, so I'm hoping it works for Michael. So I appreciate you sending me the shirt, but I just wanted to throw out some general gems when it comes to merch because we've done pretty well with merch, so we have a little bit of experience.
You could do a shirt with his face on it. I want to do a shirt design where it's like Mount Rushmore, but instead of like the slave owners' faces, it'll be your face, Big John, and DJ Vlad, all kind of side by side. And I got a shirt on Black Art. Shout out to them. They sent me this shirt. They reached out on Instagram. So, Dame, you want to get into something that kind of ties into my really unfortunate story? But
I really don't know too much about. I saw you was going in. People were going back and forth. There was a lot of activity, so I was like, "Oh, this looks podcast worthy."
Thanks for giving it the seal of approval. No, but the positive side of this coin is all of the strides in the education in the right direction for aspiring managers. And you recently had a summit that was completely focused on aspiring managers because they're not really fostered or nurtured too much with those kinds of opportunities.
Yeah. Oh, my bad. Let me shout that out real quick too. Appreciate you bringing it up. So we did have another artist management roundtable discussion yesterday. We had more people than the first one. I held the first one last week, and everybody stuck in. We did it again for like an hour and a half. So it's something that I'm going to continue to do because I don't think that there's a resource or a platform like that for artist managers, and it's such a crucial role. I'm sure you've run into artist managers that have made your life easier, and I'm sure you've run into artist managers that have made your life a living hell and just kind of maybe took money out of your pocket or just delayed a process or stopped a process from happening. So artist managers, if you're listening to this or an artist manager, all you need to do is text manager to 844-206-7800. That's manager to 844-206-7800. I think I'm going to hold them monthly going forward. So once a month at least, we're going to do that to continue to foster the just share best practices and network with one another. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the good side of the managerial coin. And I think a good manager absolutely can make everything run smoothly. And then a bad manager, which is kind of what, in part, what went down on Twitter was about, can really make a situation awful for a lot of people. And in this case, I think it touches on a whole lot of things we've discussed previously. Number one, these platforms don't belong to us. These platforms are not ours. They can kick us from the platforms at any time. Right. And also it's clear too that the internet moves faster than the music business. The music business has not ever caught up to the internet, the speed of the internet. They've tried to kind of harness it, rein it in, control it, legislate it, regulate it. So there's this thing happening, this really horrible pattern, and it's terrible, especially for recording artists, but also for producers, because I had this happen to me. I think if you have a big label machine behind you, the platforms do not work against you; they work for you. But if you're an unsigned artist, this can happen to you, and it's terrible to see. Basically, if someone files a DMCA claim against you, you can be kicked off the entire platform, lose all of your music, be banned. And there are a lot of people stealing beats, sure. And I've encouraged producers to file DMCA claims because that's what the law is for. If someone infringes your copyright, you can file this. I mean, only do that if you've tried negotiating with them, you tried reaching out, and they're just spitting in your face. Go ahead and get their song taken down.
Can you tell people what that is and how they would file it if somebody has infringed on their copyright?
So the DMCA stands for the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. It's basically a copyright law that um, accounts for copyright infringement on the internet, because obviously copyright refers to the right to make copies, and with the internet we're talking about a digital world, so it's not just physical copies. And with the internet there are systems, there are content management systems that are able to detect copyright infringement. They're just different mechanisms, and it's also more rampant because it's so much easier to just throw something on the internet on any one of these platforms that you don't own. So if you're a producer and someone does that to your beat, you contact them and say, hey, you took this beat, you didn't have permission, you didn't license it. And they just say, okay, whatever, I'm just going to keep it up, I don't care. Then you could go to their distributor, whether it's like a TuneCore or something, and file this DMCA claim. It's also just called a copyright claim or a copyright infringement claim, or sometimes it's called a takedown. They're all the same thing. And you can basically send a legal email with the right kind of language that's consistent with the DMCA saying, I need this taken down. To me, that's like the last resort, because if you've exhausted every other option, and I've had people literally cuss me out for doing, I'm like, cool, I'm going to file the DMCA claim. You're not going to steal something from me and then cuss me out when I ask you to do the right thing. So I filed the claim, and their songs get removed. But do I think an artist, a recording artist who steals a beat deserves to get blocked from the platform? I personally don't. If they made a mistake, cool. Or if they want to be an asshole, take the song down. Maybe they'll learn. But I don't think they need to get their whole catalog removed. I don't think they deserve to get locked out.
So that's what happens. That's what happens after the first claim, like, or is it like a couple of them?
It'll be just one claim, because I was contacted 2 days ago by a rapper. He was mad as hell at me because DistroKid banned him. They took his whole album down. And they sent him an email saying this is, maybe they didn't ban him, but they removed his whole album down. I mean, years after he had the album on all the platforms through them. And they said, you have infringed on someone's copyright. Here's his email address. It was justin@cosignradio.ca. So I'm like, that's, well, number one, my name isn't Justin. Number two, I'm not Canadian. So this is not me filing the claim. He thought it was me filing the claim against him. He's like, I paid for this beat. Why would you file the claim? I understand, when your album gets taken down, you have every right to be angry. So I'm talking to him like, I didn't do that. My name's not Justin. We got to figure this out. So I emailed Justin, got kind of a snide response. What I came to find out was that 3 years ago, I collaborated on a beat with someone named Como Beats. He had a friend named Corey Jones, who was a singer-songwriter. He recorded a hook to the beat. And so we just split all the proceeds 3 ways. Mm-hmm. And that was fine for 3 years. He was getting paid. Everyone was getting paid off this. It was split evenly in thirds. Come to find out, he gets this manager who says, hey, that's not a good look. This is me. I wasn't there for the conversation, but this is what based on all of the emails that I've seen, this is what I think happened. The manager said, it's not a good look for you to have all these random songs with these, no-name artists out there that lease this beat just floating around the internet. And he was like, yeah, okay, cool. Do what you got to do. Okay, so I'm going to file a takedown for all of them. So he told me this, the manager told me he filed takedowns for over 130 songs. So 130 artists who paid for this beat, who put money in that guy's client's pockets over the last 3 years, all had their songs or albums removed and possibly their accounts deleted. They might be banned from the platform, and they didn't do anything wrong. So I posted about it because I'm like, nah, people need to know that this is happening. If you've ever licensed a beat and this guy's name's on it, you have to be careful. I would delete it in case they come after you next because your account's in danger now. And
you're saying this is not because like they should have the right to do it. It's because these platforms don't really do any due diligence. So when they get a claim, they just
they just do it. They take it down.
taking shit down.
They take it down, so it could be anybody. I mean, I don't think if I filed a claim against Drake, they're not going to take me seriously. But if I file a claim against some artist who has, 1,000 monthly listeners, they're taking him down. And it doesn't matter if I have proof. It doesn't matter if they have a license agreement. They just take it down because they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to be moderators in a legal matter, so they just take it down. Obviously,
and the manager's doing this because like I'm assuming that, so it could be a rookie or it could be somebody super experienced that just doesn't understand that, having all these songs out there with essentially what we're calling no name artists that aren't that big, like it's really not that big of a deal. Like I've heard artists say the same thing with like features. Like right. they don't like, people pay for the feature and they're fine taking the money for the feature, but when the songs start popping up on their profile, then they have a problem with it. But if you put out more amazing music and all that stuff, or just don't do the collabs, right? Just don't do the collabs if that's a worry or a concern. But it's more of an ego thing. Like it's not really going to impact you moving forward. Like nobody's going to be like, I was going to book this cat for a show, but I went to Spotify and I saw that he had 100 collabs with no name artists. So I was like, never mind the songs that he has fans for that love the song, that has the songs that have millions of streams. We're no longer going to book him because he's got, a bunch of songs with no name art. Like it's not going to impact you. It's only going to impact your ego when you go to your profile if the songs are all the way at the bottom.
Well, I'm going to say this, and this isn't to cut the singer down. I think he's an asshole. I don't respect him. I don't think he has any integrity after this. I don't think his manager has any integrity. But this is just a fact. He has 200 monthly Spotify listeners. He's not a big artist. So to just go after every small artist because you want to boost your image and because you don't, nah, man. You all that money went right into your pocket. And you were cool with that.
He made more money from the collab than he's making from his streaming.
Yeah.
And now he's cutting people. That's whack. That's super
and the
whack.
Other thing too, then the manager emails me back and goes, I just got off the phone with my client and he said you actually did have the rights to, because his whole thing was the producers never paid for clearance. I'm not paying for no fucking clearance with a collaborator. Are you out of your mind? For 3 years, we're putting money in your pocket because you said, yeah, cool, let's do this. I'm not paying you for clearance. You're not signed to Atlantic. You're not Ty Dolla $ign. Get the fuck out of here. You serious right now? So I'm having this conversation with this dumbass manager who can't even spell the word licensing, and I'm supposed to respect him as a businessman or just as a human being, period. He has no integrity with me. So finally he he emails me back and he's like, yeah, I spoke to my client and actually you did have permission. So let all your customers know that they can get their albums reinstated. Yeah, it's not that easy. You already did the damage to these artists. You did damage to hundreds of artists, and you're cool with it. You don't care just because your artist, you want to make him appear more Hollywood. You want to make him appear more Hollywood, actually get his branding up. So this is why I want to bring it around full circle to your management summit, because I feel like this is a minor PR disaster for this singer in the sense that it makes him look greedy. His reputation is now tarnished because nearly 150 of his fellow artists and a handful of producers who are bigger than he is were all disrespected on his behalf. And he was complicit in that. I'm not going to say for a second he didn't know. His manager knew, he knew. This isn't what a good manager does. If the manager really wanted to handle this situation in a way, and like I said, and I agree with you. I don't think you need to just sweep the internet of all your past music or your past collabs. I think that's absolutely stupid. But let's say that's really what you wanted to do. Okay, cool. Contact these producers, contact these artists, let them know what's going on. Say, hey, can you remove this? Let's figure something out. I'm the new manager. This is what I do. I'm trying to make my client look good. You don't just go around kicking doors down and getting people's album removed. That's not how you make your client look good. That's how you make your client look like an asshole.
Yeah, and I definitely wouldn't. I mean, I would never go through that process. I would just,
He
try to
must be
find.
bored as hell right now as a manager.
Well, I think that he's definitely a newbie. He doesn't understand his role as a manager, and sometimes managers are just super extra because they want to kind of show to the artist that they are doing something, right? Because they don't really know what to do. They don't really
Right.
know what to do, but like they're gonna think of some shit to do that hopefully they can trick their artist into thinking is positive, and they're gonna appear busy, but they don't really know. So this cat is definitely not experienced. He needs to be at our next artist management roundtable discussion. So send him the link to the next one, Payne.
Yeah, if you send me the link, I'll send it to him. I doubt he'll attend. I think he's too busy resting on his laurels after he pulled that power move of filing 136 DMCA claims. That kind of puts him in the managerial hall of fame, right?
Here's the thing. Like, for all of the artists or producers that have managers, like if you're man, I don't think artists should have egos, but it's a little bit more acceptable when an artist does have an ego because it's almost like the expectation. But if your manager has an ego, that's a problem. Like if he has I mean, everybody has an ego to some extent, but if your manager has a huge ego, that's a problem. And he's probably going he or she is probably going to fuck shit up more than they are going to help you. Right? I've seen so many managers with huge egos like not make any progress because they rub everybody the wrong way and they
Yeah.
put their ego before, progress that the artist is trying to make. So if you see this in your manager, I think it's a red flag, and it's a sign that you guys either need to have a long conversation or you need to get rid of the manager. I would probably suggest you get rid of the manager because that's going to be a problem if or when you do start having some success. This industry is small. You'll realize that once you start having some success, you're going to start running into the same people at festivals, at different events and things like that. If your manager has a huge ego and is rubbing people the wrong way, it's really gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
So I nip that in the bud like sooner rather than later.
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember when I first started making beats, there were all these artists that I wanted to work with who didn't really have anything going on. They were just talented. Um, and they would say, well, my manager doesn't want me to work with you. Okay. So it never happened. And 10 years later, they don't have a music career. So you still see that. And it's just this notion that because you have these goals of being big, you are already acting as though you're big to the point where you want to turn things down just because they seem trivial, not because they're not good opportunities for growth. So my thing is, when the manager inserts themselves into the creative process, I walk away. I had some artists that were super talented that I wanted to work with, and I just reached out. It wasn't like me saying, I want to sign you to a production deal. I want to take 60% of your publishing. All that. It was just like, you guys are good. There's actually there was some women who I thought were really talented and unique. My whole thing was just, I want to send you some beats. Can we just see where that goes? Yeah, sure. My manager is going to contact you. I'm not talking to this guy. Does your manager write your songs? No. Does your manager sing? No. Cool. I don't need to talk to him. Because
Right.
why? When you were managing artists, or as you managed Jad, insert yourself in the like creative process, collaborations, or like I don't think you should collaborate with that guy. He only has 10,000 followers, that kind of thing.
No, I mean I've tried to encourage. I've suggested collabs. That like there were a lot of people that came to the table that I thought Hop should collab with, and he didn't. Some of the notable ones being Joe Budden, um, Rag and Bone Man. That would have been huge. That would have been
Huge.
crazy.
Both of them would have been great.
And then what's that? It's like a weird duo out of like South Africa. I forget their names. It's like they got a real kind of weird vibe to them. Been in a couple movies. I think one of them was
Yeah,
in
yeah,
that movie,
yeah.
Wally. I forget
Yeah,
their name.
yeah, yeah.
Diantword?
I think it's pronounced D, but yeah.
Antword? Yeah. They're huge. And like I didn't really understand. Like I was like, man, you should definitely, but they're huge. And Rag and Bone Man, he just has this was before like all his songs went like really, really big. But I could just tell like he has a really unique and amazing voice. And I was just trying to pull Hop out of the lane that he's still in. I was just trying to the Antwerp wouldn't have done that, but that would have given him a lot more exposure because they're just as big, if not bigger. They're bigger than him.
That would have been a good collab.
Yeah. So I've definitely.
I mean, he said no, and that's his right as a creative.
Right. You can't really force. You can't really force. Like as amazing you think it would be on the business end, or just in terms of exposure or getting folks to the next level. You can't really force the. I wish I could. Like I wish I could because there were probably a lot more opportunities that we could have taken advantage of. But to answer your question, no. Like it's very hard. I like with Ja's comedy. So we're able to where he just has Ja's just more normal. So like we can have more mature conversations and like he strikes some things down, but he's typically open to stuff or to at least hearing me out. So I think every artist is different, but if an artist doesn't want to do something creatively, it's very difficult to force it. Almost impossible.
Yeah, but drawing lines and telling people who to work with or who not to, like I understand saying, hey, you don't want to work with that person. Somebody accused him of sexual assault. Yeah, right. Cool, but don't work with that person. You're better than that.
Right. Well, I think as artists get bigger, like on a bigger stage, like you do need to be more protective of your brand, right? Like you do, but artists are making weird decisions prior to artists that will probably never get to like the Cardi B's and whatever. Like you're making decisions that could prevent, like it could be something on the table that could introduce you to a few more fans that you need at this point, but you're saying no because you think it's going to have some long lasting effect on your brand, and nobody even gives a shit about you right now. Nobody even knows who you are. I mean, there's so much content being put out every single day, even at the Cardi B's and the Kanye levels. Like, we forget it as soon as the next thing comes out. Like we just sweep it under the rug. So I mean, take more risks. I would encourage up and coming artists and producers to take more risks and to try more things out, because I see more artists being overprotective of their brands like way too early, to the point where you're limiting the opportunities that could get you exposure to new fans.
Yeah. Well, the one time I managed an artist, I would never have told him who not to work with unless there was something really awful about that person. Like, that person's about to go to court for something horrible. You don't want to get involved in that. If anything, I think the good manager presents far more opportunities than the artist could ever take advantage of, if that's something that the manager can offer. If the manager is simply just managing from afar, cool, but all this, like, trust me, we're gonna crack some eggs, but it's gonna be worth it in the end. The ends justify the means. Nah, man, get your artist brand up. The best thing you can do is help your artist get more fans. That's it.
Right.
Help your artist work smarter. Don't whatever, man. These people are shooting themselves in the foot, and then once that relationship ends, that artist manager relationship, which it will because it's not going anywhere. If there's this imposition of an ego from the manager onto what the artist is doing, then that artist has to do damage control and walk around to people and say, "Cause I've had artists come up to me and say, my manager was really stupid. I'm sorry that I turned down working with you or whoever. It was the manager told me to do it." And I think that brings up something else that I don't want to get into, but have you seen Cricket Eye's recent posts about artists or just people in the music business taking advantage of women and kind of grooming them for sex by using their positions in the business? Because I've seen that happen with the manager relationship. If you got like a creepy male manager and a female client, it becomes a really disturbing dynamic. And I've seen it a couple of times, and it's sick.
So I mean, given the fact that our country is super perverted and it happens, outside of the music industry, I only have to imagine that it happens very often. However, I have personally never seen it, nor have I been a part of anything like that. But I can't speak to anything that I've seen because I haven't seen it. What I would like to see is just more women, and this is probably why there's not as much women in the industry, or to tap into our live sessions, or maybe watch our podcast, or I think we had we had about maybe 4 or 5 women out of 50 managers that tapped in yesterday, and I would like to see more. And I think that some of that behavior is probably why women don't decide to be in the music industry or get out as quick as they do. So yeah, I mean, I know that it's a problem. I just have never seen it myself. I've never witnessed it.
I have a woman today on my BeatStars live session, so I'm gonna bring that up to her. Yeah, which brings me to this point. This is the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast. It is powered by BeatStars. We're live. The Music Entrepreneur Club is live Mondays and Thursdays on BeatStars Live. Check out musicentrepreneurclub.com for the schedule. Check out beatstars.world for all things BeatStars. It's free. 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Mondays are Dame's, Thursdays are mine, and it's a free music business mentorship program. What more do I have to say? Love to see you interacting, tuning in, asking questions.
Cool. Peace.
Peace.
All right.